You're never going to believe this. The majority of people are not excited about Phase 5 TBC Classic according to recent survey. Now we're going to go over why more than 50% of the player base isn't excited about Phase 5 and why the rest are excited based on some commentary we received. And let me know if you are excited for Phase 5 in the comments below and why. And for some background, Phase 5 brings Sunwell Plateau, a new raid which many predict will be very, very hard because it's going to be pre-nerf. You know, there's a whole lot of history there. Magister's Terrace is a new 5-man dungeon coming in Phase 5, and lots of dailies which unlock even more dailies. That's Phase 5 in a nutshell. Let's talk first why players might not be excited about Phase 5. Number one, this one I didn't even see coming, but the GDKP community. Guilds are trying to recruit and people are complaining that recruiting for your guild is difficult because anyone who is serious about raiding is just looking to buy gold, just looking to join some GDKPs, getting that gear with gold. They don't want to put up with your loot council. They don't want to have to, you know, get your actual DKP for the raid. You know, they don't want to do whatever your guild is doing for gear. They want to get their gear with gold, right? Now, many people are saying it feels like nobody wants to progress and gear up with a guild anymore. Now, honestly, I haven't encountered this too much because I'm guildless right now, but I didn't know this was an issue people were running into. You know, GDKPs, I see them all over the place, though. I see it getting spammed all the time, so I could totally see how this is a realistic concern for some people. Now, another concern is that some people might just not be ready for it, right? You haven't gotten the gear you were looking for in Phase 3 and 4. You're basically still sitting in like Tier 1 maybe. Maybe you don't even have Tier 1. Maybe you're a fresh 70, right? And you're just not ready for Sunwell Plateau. This was also a comment I saw come up frequently. They are not excited for Phase 5 because they are not ready for Phase 5 content. This is similar to, I could see a lot of people being in this situation. You're guildless, you're under-geared, you're not willing to do the GDKP route, you don't have the gold, you're not willing to pay the gold, whatever, you're not willing to pay real dollars or money for gold in order to get gear. So you just don't have the gear, you can't compete. So you're not excited for Phase 5. Totally legitimate. Now, players have also said that Blizzard is rushing through TBC Classic, and they aren't excited about that. The phases are just coming out too soon. Now, a lot of people feel this way. This got a ton of thumbs up in the comment section that it's being rushed, it's too soon, Executus, it is too soon. And that killed a lot of excitement for some players because they just want to enjoy TBC longer. And once this final phase is out, well, that's it until Wrath. You know, along these same lines, some people even wish that Wrath was pushed back to next year so they can enjoy TBC even longer. And they are not excited about the early release of Phase 5, not because they don't like TBC or Phase 5, just because they wish that this phase would come out later. So it's an interesting take on it. You know, I feel like they're in this camp because they love the game so much that they're actually not excited for it rather than just hating the game or wanting Wrath or whatever, right? Totally valid. Also, you could just not be excited because of the endless dailies that need to be done in order to unlock even more dailies on the Isle of quel'danas, which itself is a pretty small area, so you might not enjoy being confined to such a small place to grind dailies day after day. I mean, dailies in themselves are not super exciting. I remember growing up, I loved my dailies. I loved doing it. It felt good. You know, you're progressing towards something, but honestly, this time around, like, I am surprised. Like, I didn't even care about Netherwing. I didn't care about Shatari Skyguard. I didn't grind any dailies, actually. I was just like, I'm not doing it. You know, like, so I'm in this boat, you know. Isle of quel'danas, I have no intention of going there and grinding dailies. I've been there, I've grinded the dailies, it's just not super appealing to me. And with Isle of quel'danas, it is a ton. There are more dailies in quel'danas, I think, than any single reputation. Like, Shatari Skyguard doesn't have as many, Netherwing doesn't have it. I think there's over 10. There might be between 10 and 13 total. You unlock them over time, but there's a ton of dailies in Isle of quel'danas. So this is my sort of lack of excitement. I couldn't say that I'm looking forward to grinding dailies in a new phase, but that's just personally where I fit in this camp. So I agree with this guy. Another commentary here we have: why put effort into something that will be replaced in Wrath? You know, maybe they're going after the mount you can get. Maybe you're gonna farm some gold, you know, doing these raids, doing the dungeons, you know, during Phase 5. But you know, why why go through the effort of raiding and doing dungeons, working really hard, doing the dailies for something that will be replaced in Wrath? Totally valid point. A lot of people, didn't want to do Naxxramas because they're like, oh, Hellfire Peninsula gear is going to replace it. But that's not totally true. I saw it in the comments already. I like visualized. Someone was like, Nax gear was good until 70. All right, you win. There are definitely some trinkets that were super good all the way through TBC, by the way. But it's a good point. A lot of the gear will be replaced in Wrath. People have different projections. Some say it'll be replaced by level 80 heroics. Maybe it'll be further than that. I don't know the exact numbers, but yes, it will be replaced for sure. I think the main point is that it feels pointless, right? Whether that's getting gear or something else, because Wrath is going to be here in about 5 months, right? Once, this phase 5 comes out, it's just a matter of time. Wrath is right on the horizon. And so why put forth the effort into phase 5? I think this is another big reason why a ton of people didn't, see Naxxramas. They were just ready for TBC, maybe. So some people are not excited for phase 5 TBC Classic because Wrath won't have Dungeon Finder. I was surprised about this one, but if you're really upset about Dungeon Finder, I could totally see how you're just not excited about the game anymore. If it meant so much to you. I actually put out a survey where I was like, if Wrath doesn't have Dungeon Finder, are you going to not play the game? And 21% of people said that they would not play Wrath without Dungeon Finder. That's 1/5. If I asked 5 people, one of them would be like, yeah, I'm not going to play because no Dungeon Finder. So that was super interesting to me. I'm not in that camp. Obviously, I want Dungeon Finder or some hybrid which is very similar to it, but I'm definitely going to play Wrath either way. I'm just so excited to play Wrath, guys. It's going to be such a great time. Another comment why they're not excited: some servers are dead, so they can't really experience the new content. I could totally see that. I mean, I transferred off my dead server because it's dead. You can't do anything, what's the point of being on that dead server? But, to each their own on their decision to stay there or to leave. Now, some people are quitting until Wrath, calling phase 5 the Wrath waiting room or the Sunwell waiting room. Totally valid, while you're not excited for phase 5 for that. Some people are even calling to cancel phase 5 and just release Wrath instead. You can see a lot of people really excited for Wrath of the Lich King. Others also are not excited because they aren't even going to attempt pre-nerf Sunwell Plateau and just wait for the nerfed version, saying it's a raid for 5% of the player base. Now, this comment I thought was really interesting, right? Because I didn't even think about like the pre-nerf and the post-nerf state. Like, yeah, pre-nerf Sunwell Plateau was like insane, right? There are a certain tier of WoW gamer who is like super excited for pre-nerf Sunwell Plateau. They get to re-experience that. I'm really excited for that. But that's probably like a really small segment of players, right? Like most people probably just want to just plow through here and have a raid that your guild can take on, right? But that's probably not going to be the case. And from how the PTR looks very difficult. Now let's move on and talk about why people are excited for phase 5. This is the minority, not by much. It's kind of like a 45-55 split, but let's hear why players are excited for phase 5. Well, number one, Black Temple and Mount Hyjal were much easier than Serpent Shrine Caverns and Tempest Keep, and so they're looking forward to a harder raid. I could totally relate to this. My guild disbanded from SSCTK. I remember we Vosh and Kael'thas, right? Those were the only 2 bosses we couldn't get. What was that one guy? There was a few that were tough, but those 2 were the ones that a lot of people struggled with, right? Pre-nerf, obviously. But they're looking forward to that type of experience again. The guild breakers. Let's get some tough bosses out here. Some people are excited for that. I could totally, it's a totally valid reason to be excited for phase 5. Now, there's also people who are excited because the gear that they get in phase 5 from Sunwell Plateau, Magisters, Terrace, etc. will speed up leveling in Wrath of the Lich King. Totally true. This is an opportunity to gear up so that your leveling experience is much faster and you don't replace that gear as fast, right? You might not replace it till you're max level in Wrath. So totally valid. I mean, I'm even thinking like, oh yeah, totally. There's always the trade-off of like your full purples and you kind of, while you're leveling, it's fun to upgrade that gear. Kind of the same lack of enjoyment with like heirlooms where you just kind of sucks because you don't get to upgrade your character's gear ever. So, for me personally, I don't care too much to have super strong gear because I kind of like replacing my gear, getting those upgrades. Personally, that's just me. Players also said they're excited to get Phase 5 because they're excited to get it over with. Either for pre-patch, to make a Death Knight, or just so that Classic Wrath can get here even faster. So those were some of the reasons why players were excited, not excited. But I was so shocked to see that the majority of players are not excited about Phase 5 TBC Classic. It just blew my mind. But you know, to each their own. Personally, I'm excited for it because I'm excited for Wrath to get closer. So yeah, let's get Phase 5 going. Let's get it on live servers ASAP. Hey, if you like the video, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to hit that like button, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.